I mean, I've been teaching quilting for 30 years now, so it's not anything new to me as far as that goes. And working with beginners, I've worked with beginners a lot of times and things like that too, so that wasn't intimidating to me. The only thing that was a concern of mine was the number of machines that we would have available and how many kids were going to be involved. Because if there's too many, then I really can't work with everybody individually. So, fairly simple drawing here. She's doing a sunset, okay, with water in the front and a dock, okay, and trees in the background there. And she chose this fabric for the sunset part. So we're going to use just the upper part of this in there someplace. And then she's going to take another piece of fabric and put it over top of that for the actual sun. Okay, but this kind of has a nice
radiant.
Thank you. I always learn something from the people that I'm teaching, even if it's something that's just really silly or simple or about something totally unrelated to quilting or something like that I'll learn stuff. So, is this your horizon line? So you have like grass and sky here?
Yeah, there's like a tree here, but I couldn't figure out how to draw it.
Okay. Well, we might even be able to cut that out of fabric because I have a couple of pencils.
I have one.
Yeah, exactly, that one. Some of them were struggling with the concept of the making the reverse drawings on the fusible web. And, you know, like one of them kind of cut out her drawing instead of tracing it onto the thing and stuff like that. And I mean, I've worked with adults and adults don't get it either sometimes. So it's just one of those things that was a little bit of a concern for me. But eventually they got the hang of it and, you know, and they, you know, pretty much all of them eventually got to use the sewing machine. And that was my other goal, was to try to get them at least to sew a seam or two. Okay, so I'm going to start right here. I'm going to hand crank one stitch. And when you hand crank, you always crank towards yourself like you're doing a thumbs up. Okay. I was pleased to see that some of them did put so much effort into it and that they seemed to have fun with it and that it wasn't just a big drag. Okay, yes, see the shiny is now on there.
Ask where they live.
On top. Some of the kids were much more quiet and hesitant to ask for help, and so you know I have to kind of pay attention to the ones that were starting to slip behind a little bit and try to encourage them to keep working and don't just give up on it. Your water would be next, and then your boardwalk. Like this, whichever one is on top comes last. Your building.
I'm so sorry. I'll check all the resources that I have. Okay. This is the only thing.
It's funny how life throws things at you and sends you opportunities, and you have to kind of, again, go with the flow and see where it takes you. You never know exactly where you're going to end up. It's just really cool to be able to follow your own path, follow what you love to do, and eventually it'll pay off.
I'm Carrie Shea. I go to Millville Senior High School and I'm a part of the advanced art class. I think rebuilding connections means thinking about the places in the community that everyone goes to or that are just specifically important to a person, and realizing that everyone's connected because we all find certain places important in the community.
Obviously, everyone knows we all just came from a lockdown a couple years ago, from the whole pandemic. And a lot of people stayed inside, obviously. So a lot of people kind of lost connections with their, you know, their hometown, their people.
Rebuilding connections meant to me that like physically connecting with people, like not just like over the phone or like through a computer like we did when like COVID hit, but like physically actually talking to each other.
Honestly, rebuilding connections to me, it feels more like kind of coming back to normal, because after COVID, like during COVID, we were all kind of isolated and we kind of forgot about those places, and we had to use like online stuff like video chatting over like Discord or Instagram or other social media platforms. as our only way of communication because we physically couldn't be really close to other people. And those places kind of lost their meaning. So it's kind of rebuilding those same memories and same feelings for certain places that we did as we had before. Like just kind of coming back to normal after COVID.
So what we did first was we all had to get an idea of a place that was important to us so that we could create a quilt. And then Miss May had to teach a lot of us how to use the sewing machine because we didn't know how, but eventually we got it.
I'm Joa Vega. I go to Millville Senior High School, and I'm in advanced art. I myself did the Walmart that's here at Millville because I worked there and I have so many memories with, they were either bad, good, with customers. I always get to see my friends. I always get to see family members. It's like the most public place where you see pretty much everyone and you get to meet new people.
So the image was the front of the art room at the Millville Senior High School. I don't know, I spend a lot of time here, so I kind of thought that it's one of the places that connects with me the most.
I made like a view from a log in this one spot that I sit with all the time with my boyfriend. It's this one spot in Morris River where we have to go underneath a bridge and we walk to the spot, and then there's a lake, and then you can see the bridge that you walked underneath, and then this beautiful lake. And I sit there all the time with my boyfriend, and we just sit there and have like super deep conversations. And so it means a lot to me.
I chose the Wheaton Arts General Store because it's one of the places in Millville that's important to me, because Millville is like a fine and performing arts place. And noticed that like that's where a lot of people go like for events, especially the glass making, and there was like Halloween events and stuff.
I chose the Millville City Police Department and the City Hall over on Main Street because not that I have any specific memories there, but it's more like where it leads to because of where I live specifically. Usually when I go anywhere, I usually walk by those two buildings. So it's kind of not that specific spot, but it's more like I use that way to get everywhere else, and that it leads to all of my special places. So technically that area is kind of like a special place because it's like the middle of a web where everything branches off from there.
Hi, I'm Morgan Harris, and I go to Millville Senior High School, and I'm a part of the advanced art class taught by Mr. Daniels. It was a lot of fun, actually. Once you kind of understand how to do it, it's kind of smooth sailing from there. Like, you're gonna be able to understand it. So it's not as hard as people would think it is. I thought it was gonna be a lot harder than it was, and it ended up being quite fun, quite easy. The hardest thing about the entire project was probably using the sewing machine, because it was like, it's a process. And once if you break the thread, you gotta start all over pretty much. So I am legally blind, which, if you don't know, because apparently a lot of people really don't know what that means, it just means that your vision is not good enough to be able to drive or play sports. So I can see, just not as well as a lot of people. It's very unique because like I couldn't really see where exactly the threads were going when putting it through the sewing machine. So it was definitely a bit of a challenge there. But a lot of the sewing machines have these 3 little red lines that Mary May told me to line it up with that, and that really did help a lot. She's a great teacher. She's very understanding as a teacher. She is very sweet.
Mary May was really sweet. I liked how she was like she was very calm, and she explained things really well, and she was just really sweet overall.
I'm inspired actually by nice people, and that's very broad, but people who have patience and can just be nice all the time, even if they're annoyed, and just help people and always look happy around people inspire me, because that's spreading joy basically and happiness, and it inspires people so that, we're not miserable when we come into class, but we're excited.
Honestly, just her presence was like really comforting. Like she felt like a grandma, honestly, but not like in a mean way. Like she just felt like that very comforting sense of like she's like there, and she was very patient, which is something that I really personally was like really fond of, because I struggle with patience with myself. So like that someone else was willing to be patient and help me step by step, even when I was like not really feeling doing anything, which is something I also struggle with, just not wanting to do stuff just for like a day and then go back tomorrow. But she was really inspiring, and like how she pushed me, but like not like a harsh shove. It was more like a gentle guide.
I really enjoyed the time I spent here with Mary May. Like, she was so helpful. I'm so glad that she actually came and taught us something new other than sketching on a paper and just doing whatever. Like, she put us through something that many people don't really do. And it was awesome.
My name is Paige O'Donnell, and I'm in advanced art. I liked using the sewing machine because when I was in Florida a few years ago, my grandma is like super into costume making, and she tried teaching me how to use a sewing machine, and I just kind of wasn't interested in it. And I was like, I don't know. But then when we got to do it here, I was kind of like basically made to use the sewing machine, and I learned that it was actually really fun, and I'm excited because I'm using my grandma soon.
No one really, like, I wasn't really into sewing. Like, the closest thing I've ever gotten to sewing was crocheting, which I did in a little kit that my granddad gets me every month. It's like one of those little girl craft kits, and it's like so weird sewing, because like I've never, like, I know how to hand sew kind of from my dad, who learned from his mom, but like sewing machines are just, it like freaked me out. But like I got there eventually, and I'm just so proud of myself, and I'm proud of my classmates, honestly.
What I enjoyed most about the quilt making process was learning how to use the sewing machine, because growing up, my mom always wanted me to learn how to use it, and I was always kind of scared of it. But Miss May, she just had us do it because we had to make it. So I got to learn how to use it, and it was really fun, and I wasn't scared of it.
I spent almost a whole hour trying to get just one brick wall done, and I would mess up, try and go back, and then do it again, and then I would mess up. My mom did a sewing class when I was younger, so she sometimes like gets out her sewing machine and does it. I myself had got a mini sewing machine when I was little as a toy, so I had like a little bit of experience with it.
I'm Toby Harris, and I'm a student at Millville Senior High School in the advanced placement class. What I enjoyed the most was honestly picking out the fabrics and seeing like what was like interesting but could still resemble the parts of my my picture, like the sky piece specifically. I love like the gold designs on them, and I love how even when I like put marker all over them, like the gold still kind of shone through. And I love like all the different textures that I could get with the different fabrics. And even if I use the same fabric in different places, it still like felt right. And just like the experience itself, like outside of the artwork, just like everyone talking about stuff. Like we go in this class, we sidetrack all the time. And it's just fun, like the conversations that had, it started linked up with the quilt, but then it went like into a galaxy far, far away. honestly. And I think the conversations and just like the social atmosphere was one of my favorite parts. I mean, that's how it is every day, but like that project, it just like, it felt like it felt like a community. It felt like family because everyone was doing stuff. Everyone was walking around instead of like, it didn't feel like an office cubicle where everyone's just in their own space doing their work and like kind of talking to each other. Everyone was getting up, moving around, getting into different seats. Sometimes you'd speak to people you hadn't spoken to before, even if it was just small, like little conversations. It did make it feel like a little bit more, even if we just went back to our cubicle setting afterwards. It was just a decent experience and I really enjoyed it.
I think the final product is really nice because it shows how everyone makes different things in different ways and everyone has a style, and that makes each one of them unique.
I was very shocked. It turned out way better than I thought it would. I like it. I like it a lot. I like the quilt.
I think it looked really, really good. The layout of it was really nice, where each square was placed really complemented each other's square. And the pattern, like the background of the whole quilt was really tied it all together as well.
You probably saw this, but I literally walked in the door. I wasn't even here for the quilt. I was here to just give you a piece of paper from my other class, but I literally stopped in the door and I was like, ain't no way, what is that? It's here, oh my God, it's amazing and I love it. Every piece just kind of like works together so well. Like even if there are in different styles and some are more detailed than others, they just kind of like blend in, especially with the border that we chose and like the interlinings. It's just like, it looks so nice and I'm so proud of it. And actually like, it made me like feel so excited and happy to see like all of our work just put together into something so amazing.